All right, everybody, welcome back. This is gonna be the last match of the day, not even night.
Yeah, we're moving at like an incredible speed.
Lightning speeds.
Tapu Koko.
Aerodactyl. All right,
Charmeleon. War Turtle.
we about to poker wrap this out.
Dude, bring it on home.
All right, Aaron Zheng versus Conan Thompson. Both players just actually qualified for the World Championships with this finish.
Wait, did Conan get it from second place?
Yes, he did.
Oh, wow.
Yep. He
So
needed
all that's
second
on
place.
the line here is money.
Yep. Players are playing for $1,000 in cash prizes. Loser, already has $750, so it's essentially
It's a $250
money match between the two players. And, of course, Conan wants to win a regional championship, keep it in the Pacific Northwest, I guess.
Yeah.
Aaron was actually hungry. He wants to win a regional championship this year. He has yet to do it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I
this year, at
think about
least.
his finishes.
Exciting matchup for you two.
Really cool.
Both still relatively young players. Of course, Aaron Zheng, a player that we don't need. I mean, both these players are so well known in the community. I'm excited to watch it. Are you ready,
this should
Kimo?
be a very interesting
Are you ready,
matchup.
Kimo?
I'm super
ready. You're ready? Again, Drifblim, Tapu Lele, Garchomp, Kartana, Metagross, and Arcanine for Aaron on the bottom of the screen. Conan's team, of course, taking a lot of influence from the Japanese metagame, I believe.
Yes.
With the Celesteela, Garchomp, Gyarados, Mimikyu, Tapu Koko, and Gigalith.
It's an interesting matchup, really. Mimikyu functions very well as a Trick Room a Mon that really puts the pressure on the typical Drifblim Lele squad. It takes the Shadow Ball through the skies, and most of them can take a powered-up Psychic. The problem is Aaron's got double Steel, and that's very restrictive to Conan's overall team or strategy. He doesn't like double Steel when he has Mimikyu, Gigalith, but that's the mode most effective against general Drifblim Lele squads. So we might see Conan opt for a more offensive kind of Gyarados Garchomp mode with a Celesteela like backup, so that you clear the kind of path for Celesteela to sit there and be comfortable sucking up all that HP with Leech Seed, if he has it.
All right, we're ready to get underway here. Go ahead. Show your support for either Aaron Zheng or Conan Thompson. Drifblim and Tapu Lele leads out for Aaron, as we see Mimikyu and Tapu Koko leads out for Conan. Gonna go ahead and bring out the Electric Surge, but of course Tapu Lele says, hey, let's get weird. Tapu Lele Psychic Surge gonna activate the Psychic Seed as well as the Unburn Boost. That's what pretty much makes this course so great.
Pretty typical lead from Aaron, and there's no problem with that, especially considering that if Conan does not have Mental Herb Mimikyu, it cannot set up Trick Room, because we've seen taunt so many times from Aaron. That said, I really like this lead from Conan. I let it a lot myself this weekend. Mimikyu, Koko. The taunt doesn't even matter if he doesn't have Mental Herb, because you can Sky Drop that Lele, and then when you Trick Room, it's 2 turns where Lele is gone because so many people tend to set up the Tailwind. Now, Aaron, no fool, going for the Shadow Ball.
Yep, Aaron breaking that disguise, busted. Tapu Koko now goes for a Sky Drop here, going to pick up that Tapu Lele and not allow it to be able to move, as Mimikyu is able to set up the Trick Room. So now Lele is going to get to come down and go for an attack on that Tapu Koko.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. That's
because
right. That's right. Koko's so fast. That's right.
So Trick Room makes it the slow. So Lele's effectively out of the picture for 2 turns.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like the Mimikyu Koko is sort of an odd lead. I think caught a lot of people off guard this weekend. Conan could probably attest to that. That said, the Shadow Ball, Aaron's Drifblim is a lot more offensive than the typical Drifblim tend to be. Mimikyu could probably take a decent amount of damage from that Shadow Ball.
So now we have it. I mean, you saw that Sky Drop, such a great utility move. It actually kind of changes the way you play doubles, in my opinion.
It really does.
Because, especially coming from a fast Pokemon like that, that's why Aerodactyl had a lot of usage when Sky Drop was finally legal. Mimikyu now switching out, going to go into Gigalith, going to bring the Sandstream with it, going to slowly chip away at everything on the field that is not steel, ground, or rock. And also give it a nice special defense boost and take that Shadow Ball a little bit better than that Mimikyu would, as the Tapu Koko now lets that Tapu Lele free. And Drifblim goes for a Destiny Bond.
I mean, that was probably the best option that he had at the time. Maybe Will-O-Wisp, but you don't need to burn a Mimikyu, really. Gigalith, very scary. The Destiny Bond has saved him a turn, but we've seen in the past that Aaron is a big fan of Rocky MC Gigalith. He might have that here. He
you mean Conan?
Oh, Conan, I'm sorry. We've seen that Rocky Gigalith is very popular. Curse Gigalith right behind it in terms of popularity. He has a lot of possible pressure here, and the sand makes it so that Lele's attacks do less damage.
Towards that Gigalith.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Rock types getting the special defense increase in the sand.
I really like that Destiny Bond from Aaron, too, because it kind of makes you think twice about hitting that slot.
Yeah.
And it's so slow right now that everything on – I mean, it's so fast that everything on the field is going to be moving way before it.
Yeah. It's like an extra turn of Trick Room Burn.
Yeah. It's pretty much its way of
Got
protecting.
sick rhymes.
Gigalith now goes for a rock slide, going to hit both Tapu Lele and Drifblim. No dodges here as Drifblim.
Oh!
Drifblim hangs on, unfortunately, for Aaron as Tapu Lele gets to go for a psychic here, hitting that Tapu Koko in that terrain. Not enough to pick up the KO, but it looks like Tapu Koko goes for a Volt Switch into that Tapu. Oh! Goes for the hit into the Drifblim, so it's going to knock itself out.
I mean, that's just a declaration
That's
that
fair.
Conan does not care.
That's fair.
That
Trick Room's up. Tapu Koko's way
Yeah.
too fast for it anyways.
The rock slide not KOing was the real clutch situation there.
Super clutch.
Trick Room still got a few turns left, so this is pretty annoying. Metagross is a solid answer to Gigalith, one of the best, and Aaron does have it on his team. The problem with that is that going offensive with Celesteela in the back, as we see right there, is one of Conan's best approaches to the matchup. So I'm very curious to see what Aaron's fourth Pokemon is.
His fourth, what? Oh,
His
Aaron's last Pokemon.
Yeah.
That's right. I thought you were talking about Conan for some
No.
reason. Arcanine comes in, gonna go ahead and drop an Intimidate onto Gigalith and Celesteela. If you watched the stream yesterday, you know that this is actually a special attacking Celesteela
Yeah, I
with
forgot
some
about that.
very, very cool tricks up its sleeve. If you're just tuning in for the first time, I'll let you figure that out for yourself.
It's a fun little moment, and it's a very rare Celesteela set. I had actually encountered it on Showdown Ladder, and in a fairly typical moment where I'm annoyed with Ladder, I went, well, that's a stupid set. I'm never going to play that at tournament. Go away.
All right.
But here it is.
Celesteela switches out. Mimikyu now comes in. The disguise already been busted, so it could possibly get KO'd here. Well, it's just a revolving door of Pokemon. Aaron's last Pokemon is going to be that Garchomp. Good thing to note. As Tapu Lele protects itself, not going to want to get KO'd just yet. Maybe hang on. Maybe try to wait this Trick Room out. As Gigalith goes for a Rock Slide. Not very effective on that Garchomp. Does connect, but, you know, Garchomp is a great Pokemon to have.
Garchomp very good in this metagame.
Very good in this metagame, actually. As we see the Sandstorm go ahead and do chip damage to every single Pokemon. Tapu Lele now will probably get one more attack, if even, before the Sandstorm and Life Orb Recoil will knock it out.
Garchomp a pretty good answer as well to Gigalith, foregoing that Metagross slot. And honestly, probably for the best. Sword Stance Fire Fang applies pressure to Celesteela. Garchomp on Aaron's team is actually incredibly important because it's this Pokemon that really harms multiple modes on Conan's team. The only one really being ignored is Gyarados.
And Garchomp protecting itself, not going to want to take any damage, and possible play rough from that Mimikyu. Fair play, going to stall at the Trick Room here, as now Gigalith goes for a Rock Slide, going to connect onto that Tapu Lele. And now Aaron's down to his last two Pokemon, but of course, Mimikyu can just set up Trick Room next turn, as well as Mimikyu now goes for a Will-O-Wisp into that Protect. Fair. That's fair.
Yeah, it's not over for either player.
No.
Conan does have the number advantage, but Aaron has good positioning.
And he's going to drop another Intimidate.
Yeah, 2 Intimidates on the Gigalith.
One on this Mimikyu.
You got one on the Mimikyu. It's really the bulk on the Mimikyu is very important. A lot of them tend to go bulkier on this sort of team composition. If Arcanine is not capable of removing Mimikyu itself, because he almost has to dedicate a double attack situation to Mimikyu. Because otherwise, Swords Dance would pretty much end this game if he was able to remove Mimikyu with just the Arcanine itself.
Yeah, it's going to come down to what this Mimikyu can do in terms of its defenses. Yeah. So this is a pivotal turn in this game. Only one more turn of Sandstorm left. Not going to matter too much. Chip damage is always nice on that Arcanine, but at the same time, there are 2 physical attackers on Garchomp and Arcanine. Gigalith now switching out, going to go in as Celesteela, probably going to try to take a possible Tectonic Rage in that slot, as we do see the Tectonic Rage come out.
That better be on the Mimikyu.
Well, it depends on who you're rooting for, Chemo.
I'm rooting for good plays.
Well, we'll have to see because this Garchomp now could possibly burn its Z move into the Celesteela. Gonna go ahead. Yeah, boy. Okay, all right. Into the Mimikyu.
Okay.
All right.
So that's actually huge.
Does that open up a Flare Blitz onto
Yes.
the Flare? Oh, okay. All right. Picks up the KO on the Mimikyu. Now is the Arcanine going to go for Flare Blitz? Yes, it does into the Celesteela. Good call right there.
No,
from Aaron.
excellent call. That switch away.
And picks up KO on Celesteela. All right.
Wow.
All right.
Excellent play by Aaron, really. The switch from Gigalith to Celesteela was more one of necessity rather than positioning. The double Intimidate on Gigalith basically, in this situation, made it a null slot. He would need a critical hit on Arcanine to achieve anything, and that didn't prevent the double tap on the Mimikyu slot. The Flare Blitz was really just like, the way I'm sure it was aimed at the Mimikyu and just redirected. I'm sure you agree. But yeah, that very well played from Aaron. I believe this is over.
Yep. Arcanine now protecting itself. Going to set up an opportunity for Garchomp to just go for Earthquakes right here as Gigalith going to protect and see what's going to happen. Trying to get some more information probably. As Garchomp goes for an Earthquake here, going to hit the nothing because of the Protect, so yeah.
Adaptions. Things they can do. It's hard for Conan, just at the team preview. And when I saw what Aaron was running at this regional, I didn't want to play him at all because I was using a similar Mimikyu setup. Double Steal with Drift Lele is incredibly annoying.
Yeah.
So, like, just that pressure, because he didn't really use any of the Steel types in this matchup.
No, he
didn't.
But
the pressure from them is what is really annoying.
Right, and Conan's going to have to make some pretty big adjustments here. The Rock Slide connects onto the Arcanine, picks up the KO. And Garchomp now can easily just go for a Earthquake to pick up the KO on this Gigalith here. Oh boy.
It's a little rough for Conan. Part of me feels like he should stick to his guns and try reworking Mimikyu Gigalith because I think it has a general better matchup against Drift Lele. But
it did. I mean, from the first couple turns, Conan was in the driver's seat, but it was just that one turn where Aaron decided to target down that Mimikyu. That was just clutch.
The Z move turn was what really sealed the deal. And I would like Conan to try that again, but what a lot of players do when that happens is they kind of switch modes and think, well, that didn't work, I might as well try the other mode. But I think his other mode is a lot weaker against the Driftbloom Lele archetype.
Yeah, I mean, if Conan actually switched in that Celesteela in that Mimikyu slot, that match would have turned out completely differently.
Yeah. Well, the Flare Blitz would still.
The Flare Blitz would have targeted down. Well, unless it was a target into the Mimikyu slot, it could have just been. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Not sure.
It could have gone either way, but like an interesting alternative nonetheless. It's a little rough for Conan, definitely.
Aaron's playing exceptionally well.
Aaron's playing very well. The double steal in the Drifloom Lele is very annoying for recent really answers to the archetype. And if Driftbloom Lele wins this tournament, that's like 3 big tournaments in the past 2 months now. You had the Onog Tour, the One Nation of Gamers tournament.
The Australian International Championships.
And then the Portland Regionals. If he wins, that is.
We'll have to see. Aaron now with the 1-0 lead over Conan Thompson here at the finals of the Portland, Oregon Regional Championships. Tapu Koko and Mimikyu, the exact same leads for Conan. He thinks he has the right pieces. And Driflim and Tapu Lele leads for Aaron. Of course, Psychic Terrain is going to come up. Psychic Seed, Unburden, all that good stuff happens for that Driflim. But, of course, there's just Trick Room's probably going to come up.
It looks like Conan is confident in his ability to rework the last match.
Well, there's also stuff in the back that could have possibly changed.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see if they made adjustments in the back. They're just waiting to see if that's going to come in handy later.
I mean, again, Koko Mimikyu, very good lead. We know that it's a soft Koko, so Lele couldn't even one-hit KO it if he decided to go for it. Lele tend to be fairly bulky.
Yeah, and Tapu Lele protects itself, not going to want to get picked up again. Drifblim goes for the Will-O-Wisp here, going to connect onto the Mimikyu now, going to reduce the damage output from Mimikyu's physical attacks as Tapu Koko goes for a Volt Switch instead. Conan changing it up here, no Sky Drop that Aaron expected as it goes back into Conan's Pokeball, and now I think it's full-on Trick Room mode.
I mean, good on him to stick to his guns that way. Gigalith applying even more pressure, arguably, than last game, because it didn't have to wait longer for itself to get in.
Yep.
And there's no Destiny Bond sort of turn burn.
And Mimikyu's disguise is still full-on intact, too. So Conan in a lot better field position just going into game 2. And, you know, Aaron kind of thought that Sky Drop was coming, but Conan was just like, no, not this time.
But I don't blame Aaron for making that play because it was pretty annoying to deal with in the last game. And there's other techs that he could do. He could Nature's Madness it, take it down to 50, and then go down another 10 from Life Orb Recoil if he went for the attack, which would, like, even from Burnt Mimikyu might be enough to remove it. But he wanted Lele to be safe, and it ended up biting him.
And it looks like a Rock Slide here will definitely be able to pick up the KO on Drifblim. You know, Gigalith has such a strong attack stat. Drifblim is not the best in terms of physical defense. And
Gigalith being a rock type, the same type as Rock Slide, increases the power of the attack.
Same type attack bonus.
All you have to do is hope for no miss.
Rock Slide can miss. That's right.
Rock Slide is a fun move.
Drifblim switches out. Arcanine going to come in, going to intimidate that Gigalith and also intimidate that Mimikyu. That Mimikyu is not quite as threatening depending on the rest of its move pool. We've seen Trick Room. We've seen Play Rough, I believe. Rock Slide now comes out, going to hit Arcanine and Tapu Lele. Arcanine hanging on with over 50% of its health. A critical hit on Tapu Lele, unfortunately for Aaron. As Mimikyu now goes for the Will-O-Wisp here onto Tapu Lele, going to slowly chip away at it. Maybe expecting that one to switch into a possible Garchomp. Tapu Lele gets to go for a Psychic here, and it's going to go ahead and bust the disguise on that Mimikyu.
You really see the power of the disguise. Because basically, if you just compare the situation from last turn to this turn, all that Conan really lost was his disguise. He just got a bunch of free damage on 2 Pokemon for the price of what is basically a substitute.
Yeah. Well, it's tough for Aaron. I mean, even though it's still 4-4, like, Conan just has all the momentum.
Conan really fixed up his situation from last game. He made Gigalith more efficient. I'd be curious to see if he still had Celesteela, but I believe he does just because, again, the double steal possibility is very threatening.
Yeah, and, well, if this Mimikyu is a Trick Room Mimikyu, I feel like a play... Well, I don't know how much damage Mimikyu is going to do at all. As Gigalith taking this turn to set up a curse, going to boost its defense and its attack by 1 stage and drop its speed by 1 stage, which is beneficial in Trick Room. So using this turn to just, all right, expecting a Garchomp to probably switch into that slot. As Tapu Lele continues to go for Psychics on that Mimikyu and picks up the KO, but Gigalith is pretty well set up, and of course Tapu Lele just going to knock itself out from Sandstorm and Burn and Life Orb, so it's going to get KO'd despite hanging on. As the... Oh, that's a crit.
Yeah,
that's a crit.
Be. Okay.
All right.
Burning rocks all the time. I mean, the Will-O-Wisp read made a lot of sense.
It's safe. It's safe.
Yeah, it was super safe because if Garchomp comes in, that ruins your Gigalith's day. And at the same time, if Lele stays in, it's going to KO'd by residual damage at the end of the turn. But Aaron willing to sacrifice that Lele, really paying off for him there. Gigalith's still pretty scary, but... Oh, I thought that was...
Nope, Conan has his own Garchomp. As Garchomp on Aaron's side decides to come in as well. Trick Room is still up. Can't remember how many turns are left. I think
it should be two
turns. Yeah. So gonna be tough to stall it out.
You have a little odd situation just because the speed order is reversed with both Garchomps being last as opposed to first. I would kind of like to see Tectonic Rage from Conan onto Aaron's Garchomp just to remove the threat of the opposing Garchomp. That said, I would sort of like Protect on Gigalith just to prepare for that. Arcanine not doing too much here. And many Curse Gigalith are more than happy to run that Pinch Berry. Possible that in protecting, you could get to the range where it procced.
Yeah, and Aaron almost running out of time there. Arcanine protecting itself. Gigalith is going to move before. Going to go for Rock Slide. Going to hit this Garchomp here. Arcanine not want to get knocked out just yet. Maybe keep it around just in case Celesteal is in the back. With a critical hit on that Garchomp. And now we have Aaron. Aaron's Garchomp goes first. Going to go for a Tectonic Rage here. It's going to do damage to something. It should be able to pick up the KO on Gigalith. Going to be close on that Garchomp on the other side.
Yeah. But he does go for the Garchomp.
Is it going to be enough to KO? That's a good question.
Maybe.
Depending on how they're trained. Garchomp on Conan's side does not hang on.
Wow.
Gets KO'd. So one more turn of Trick Room here. One more turn of Trick Room. So Gigalith is set up with
Celesteela or Gyarados really are helpful mons. I think Conan's still in a fine position.
Tapu Koko.
Oh, I forgot that was still around. I thought it was last game where it got knocked out.
No, it Volt switched out first turn.
Very good play. What am I forgetting? Garchomp. Oh, Mimikyu. Okay.
Yep. And the Drifloom is in the back. Drifloom.
That's actually a lot more annoying for Conan than I thought. I thought Koko was already gone, and there was like an unseen Pokemon in the back. This is completely different. Garchomp is not scared of Gigalith and underspeeds Koko, which in Trick Room is muy bueno. We also know that Tapu Koko does not have Protect. Now, it is a little annoying because Aaron protected Arcanine last turn, so he isn't super free to Earthquake, and he would probably lose Drift Blim in the process of switching, but that might be a worthy switch considering he doesn't have any of the buffs.
Oh, Arcanine goes for another Protect. Garchomp going to try to stall out this Trick Room here, protecting itself as well. And Gigalith going for a Rock Slide here, going to connect onto Arcanine, going to be able to pick up the KO. And now Tapu Koko, well, what's it going to decide to do? It's not going to do much.
It's going to pose for us, I think.
Just going to flex. Tapu Koko going for the Nature's Madness in that Garchomp slot. Not going to do anything as Trick Room ends and the Sandstorm ends. So, yeah. Here we go.
Now, we've seen Nature's Madness, we've seen Skydrop, and we've seen Volt Switch. Now, at least today, I don't remember having seen Thunderbolt on Koko. So, it is possible that Koko either does not... Well, oh no, it's absolutely guaranteed.
Gigalith does have Wide Guard. It does have access to Wide Guard. Going to block the Earthquake right here as Tapu Koko goes for a Thunderbolt. That's going to connect on a Drifloon and pick up the KO. So there's just no way for... There might be no chance for Garchomp to be able to do anything. Garchomp goes for an Earthquake. That's protected by the Wide Guard. So, wow. Conan saving that for the last second.
That turn not only was very clutch for Conan, but it revealed a ton of information for both players. We can absolutely confirm that Conan's Koko does not have Dazzling Gleam or Hidden Power Ice, two moves fairly common on Koko to deal with Garchomp. But at the same time, Gigalith, the Curse Set, has simultaneous access to Wide Guard, so that even if it's scared of Garchomp, as long as Tectonic Rage has been burnt, it has no problem.
Yep, and we see Tapu Koko now go for Nature's Madness now. You just want to whittle down Garchomp to just a point where you're comfortable just going for a Rock Slide, but Garchomp uses his turn to set up a Sword Stance instead. Nature's Madness will not be able to pick up a KO unless you get it all the way down to one hit point, which is going to take a while.
That could be a little awkward.
But, of course, you can also just Skydrop it to possibly pick up a KO at some point as well.
Yes. I think Conan still wins, but like you do run into this odd little position where Fire Fang just happened to pick it up on Koko, then you have Gigalith and Chomp staring each other down till the end of time.
Yeah, so now just going to try to, well, I'm trying to think of the outs right here. Garchomp has Fire Fang, could get burns.
I think the out is you have to Fire Fang Koko, hope it KOs, and then Conan, scared of Earthquake, you Fire Fang him. Burn would be nice. But, like, that point would be a little 50-50 because if he reads that, you can Earthquake.
Yeah, Gigalith goes for a Wide Guard here as the Tapu Koko goes for another Nature's Madness. Going to bring Garchomp down to, 38 hit points, I believe, if I remember the number correctly. Sorry, 31. Oh, I can't even do math. Garchomp goes for a Fire Fang here. Going to connect on that Tapu Koko. No burn. And the electricity is going to go ahead and disappear. Not going to matter anyways. Now, well, it's in range for a Skydrop. Oh, I don't even know how much damage a Skydrop would do. I'd say just
enough.
Well, yeah.
unless he's like naive Coco instead of timid Coco. No, Aaron can still totally win.
Yeah, he still can.
Because he can take another Nature's Madness and hit with Fire Fang. Conan could go with the risky play of getting that Rock Slide in, which might end it, but if he pressed Earthquake, that is absolutely over. This game, even if Aaron is one mon down in the red, he still has the potential to win.
Oh boy, let's see what happens. I think there's got to be some way for Conan to have a for sure win condition. As we see Coco go for a Nature's Madness. That was the turn to go for.
He went for the Rock Slide. How risky.
That was the turn to go for the what's called. That was the turn to go for an Earthquake for Aaron.
But that was also the turn to go for a Curse for Conan.
The mind games, man. The mind games.
It's rough. It's a rough situation. To me, as a player personally, that indicates to me that he's absolutely going to press wide guard on the next turn because he already just risked it, and now that I protected it, he won't do it again. There's no way. Fire Fang that Coco.
For those of you tuning in at home, this is I don't know what's going to happen right now because both players can do it depending on what the other player does. Is Aaron going to go for a Fire Fang? Is he going to go for an Earthquake? Is Conan going to go for a wide guard, or is he going to go for the Rock Slide? So it all comes down to what happens here. Top of goes for the Sky Drop, picks up Garchomp into the sky right here. And this is a chance for Gigalith to go for a Curse. Yeah, it is. And this turn, just drop the Garchomp and go for a wide guard. Actually, I don't even know, man.
No, it's still a mind game turn because he
can go for a Fire Fang in that Tapu Koko.
But then you can Rock Slide. See, like,
yeah,
it's a tricky 50-50 kind of situation. I wonder how much the Curse matters because maybe is it +2 or 3 now?
It's 2.
Okay, maybe through the...
If Aaron calls this right, he's the Portland, Oregon Regional Champion. If Conan calls this right...
We're going into game 3.
Then we're going into game 3 of this mind game right now. Like, oh...
If Aaron pulls this out, I'm super impressed. That is a crazy way to win a tournament.
Well, it also depends on how much damage his Skydrop does, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yep, Tapu Koko now goes for a Skydrop here.
He didn't wide guard.
Did not wide guard. Did Garchomp go for an Earthquake? The rough skin coming out.
Oh, man, I'm ready.
And is Gigalith going to be able to hang on? Garchomp free from the Skydrop. Goes for the Earthquake!
Oh!
Isn't it to pick up the KO on that Gigalith? It does have 2 stages of increased defense. And Gigalith...
Oh, my God!
Tapu Koko feints, but Gigalith can dodge a Rock Slide.
KO.
Oh, Figgy Berry. What?
Conan Thompson.
Gigalith goes for a Rock Slide, connects, picks up the KO on that Garchomp.
Oh, man. That's a game, baby.
That curse from earlier paying off so much for Conan.
Nippon Banzai.
Conan Thompson.
Woo! Rip headphone users.
Game 3.
That was intense. That was insanity.
Game 3 coming up.
Yeah, I was wondering if the spread damage would make it so it no longer picked it up, and he very closely hung on, revealed the Figgy Berry, Rock Slide KO.
But now Aaron has so much information in his arsenal to be able to come back.
Yeah, the information honestly does favor Aaron in this because Conan has more tricks.
On that Gigalith, like we've seen everything that Gigalith can do.
Yeah.
Protect, wide guard, Figgy Berry.
Well, the Drift Lele setups are fairly straightforward, so like you're not expecting a lot of tricks from them. Like we know about Destiny Bond now and things like that. Like that's a cool trick. But Conan's team is just less arguably standard. And it has some fairly odd stuff going on, you know, like Vest Drop Coco, Wide Guard Curse, Gigalith, the weirdo Celesteela that we've only hinted at. No, I really respect Conan for winning that. Super tense. He stuck to his guns like he should have. It's on Aaron to kind of adapt now. I think Conan will do it again. But how do you address it? I think now is the time to whoop out one of those steel types. But in doing that, you again make yourself more weak to the Celesteela, which Conan has shown not to be afraid to bring.
Does Aaron bring Drifblim Tapu Lele? I mean, we've seen Conan successfully be able to set up Trick Room 2 times now.
I don't think he will. Steel type
change
Lele.
it up?
Metagross Lele.
That's fair. We'll see.
That's some
Can you pick up Metagross with a Skydrop?
No.
Well, regardless, you're probably just smack it with a Thunderbolt or a Volt Switch. Or even an Nature's Madness. So Mimikyu and Tapu Koko, the same leads for Conan here. He thinks he has the pieces. Does Aaron change up? Nope. Goes straight for the Drifloon and Tapu Lele.
Okay. I mean, this is a situation we're familiar with now. One of the things to really note is that Conan was able to have such a huge momentum lead earlier on in the in game 2 because Aaron protected Lele instead of just going on the offensive. I'm very skeptical you would see that again. I think he's going to go for an attack and risk the Sky Drop. But I think Aaron...
Mind games.
I think Conan's going to do
Mind games. Drifloon now goes for a Shadow Ball into Mimikyu. Going to bust that disguise, and now is Tapu Lele going to get picked up, or is Tapu Lele going to be free to attack as Tapu Koko goes for a Volt Switch right here? Conan not changing up what he did, but Aaron does in terms of game 2 as Tapu Koko now gets to switch out, and we'll see how much damage this Tapu Lele is able to do to the Mimikyu, depending on how both of them are trained. As Gigalith gets sent in, if Trick Room goes up, that's good. If Trick Room can't go up, then that's bad.
Yeah.
Gigalith Sandstream activates, going to boost its special defense by 1.5 as Tapu Lele now goes for a Psychic, boosted by the Psychic Train in this Mimikyu at full health. Is enough to KO? It is enough to KO. Unlike what you said earlier, Chemo, that is just enough to pick up the KO.
Dude, okay, the one I'm using does not get KO'd by that. So Conan is either on the more physical defensive side or...
Aaron just has a very strong Tapu Lele.
No, you can make it guaranteed to survive.
That's fair. Well, yeah.
So, but that's really rough because the Trick Room mode was Conan's whole key to victory in the last game. It cleared up so much space, and now he has to do so much more work to get there.
And now Conan actually has his Garchomp and Gigalith possibly burned.
Yeah, the Drifloon becomes a lot stronger because the Trick Room mode is gone.
Yep. So, great adjustments right here from Aaron. Not really. Would you consider it an adjustment? I'd say it's an adjustment.
From Aaron?
Yeah. He changed up what he did.
In the decisions, yes. In the Pokemon, no.
Tapu Lele now protecting, not going to want to get KO'd just quite yet. We'll have to see what happens here as Drifloon uses his turn to set up a Tailwind. So now this Tapu Lele will be able to outspeed Garchomp and do massive amounts of damage. But we have Garchomp now going for the Tectonic Rage. Hitting this Tapu Lele. Is it going to be enough to KO through the Protect? That's a good question.
One to which the answer is no.
No?
No. It's like full health, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I forgot. Yeah, I forgot.
No, that's all good, homie. I think Conan's main tool of victory is he needs. No, he doesn't even have Celesteela. I keep forgetting that Coco didn't get KO'd.
Coco's in the back. Yep.
That's so difficult. If Conan can bring it back again, that is very impressive. But it's looking strongly in Aaron's favor here.
Yeah, and, Drifloon going down actually means that Aaron gets to use more turns of Tailwind with his offensive heavy hitters. We see Garchomp come in right now, so we know that the Tectonic Rage from Garchomp is enough to pick up the KO on Conan's Garchomp from what we saw earlier. I'm not sure if Moonblast will be able to, depending on how Conan has his Garchomp trained. But, of course, that Tectonic Rage can also just target down that Gigalith.
It would be interesting to see how a potential Sandveil could come into effect here. On either side, really, but more likely on Conan's. If he could dodge Moonblast and press wide guard, then he can Earthquake freely, KO Lele, damage Garchomp. And I wonder if he's trained to take the Tectonic Rage for Gigalith.
Aaron right now thinking heavily as Garchomp protecting itself.
Okay.
Not going to want to take a Moonblast just yet, or even possibly a Tectonic Rage. As Gigalith also protect right here. Maybe try to burn this Z move if Aaron went for it. As Garchomp,
man,
going for a Sword Dance. Madness.
Getting all up in that face.
Madness right here as Tapu Lele goes for a Moonblast into that Garchomp protect.
I mean, it was a very safe Sword
Dance. It was pretty safe. I mean, Garchomp. Either Garchomp gets heavily damaged by that Moonblast, or Gigalith.
Yeah, there's nothing he really could have done. He could have risked trying to use Sandveil to dodge Moonblast and going on an offense on his own. But there's almost no way that Aaron's Garchomp would be KO'd from just an Earthquake. So you either would keep the Lele alive or around for another turn, and then like injure the Chomp, who swords dances anyway. It's a really rough situation, and it's just made a lot worse by the fact that Mimikyu really was the key to setting up Conan's momentum, and it just vanished.
I think that turn was really Conan expecting a Z-move to come out, but good call on Aaron to just hold off on it, save it for later. As Tapu Lele now protecting itself, just, you think this is an Earthquake?
This is Z-move.
No. Oh, Gigalith also trying to protect. Failing, unfortunately, as Garchomp goes for an Earthquake right here. Going to hit Garchomp and Gigalith for a good amount of damage thanks to that Swords Dance from earlier. I'm not sure if he'll be able to pick up the KO on Garchomp. It is not. Picks up the KO on Gigalith, but Garchomp now gets to move on Conan's side as Garchomp goes for its own Earthquake. Not quite enough to pick up the KO on the other Garchomp because, well, Aaron's wasn't able to KO Conan's.
I think it's a little interesting he went for the double protect there, and it makes sense because you would normally expect Tectonic Rage. That's a bit of a read from Aaron. Expecting Conan not to go with that wide guard. If he had gone with that wide guard, it still would
have been a reduced wide guard.
Wide guard isn't affected by
that's
that.
Right. That's
he
right.
Just couldn't
it's
protect
reverse.
the turn after.
It's reverse.
And this is pretty much game over. We know that Coco doesn't have the means to directly KO the Garchomp. There's nothing Conan can really do to stop Garchomp from just owning the territory.
And
really.
there's still one turn of Tailwind left.
Yeah, with no protect on that Tapu Koko.
Right?
If anything,
there's still one turn of Tailwind left. Yep.
Aaron should just Earthquake and say that he KO'd 5 Mons in the last game.
Garchomp protecting itself. Gonna
Interesting.
Stall at the Trick Room right here. All right, sorry, the Tailwind. As Tapu Lele goes for Moonblast, going to hit this Garchomp and pick up the KO. So now that really does it. There's just no way. There's just no way for Tapu Koko to be able to KO all these Pokemon on its own. So there you have it. Aaron Cybertron Zheng.
Your Rose City, Portland, Oregon, regional champion, Aaron Cybertron Zheng.
Rose City, Rip City, whatever you want to call it. Aaron Zheng is just one turn away from being able to clinch the title of regional champion. Arcanine comes out, goes for Intimidate. Guys.
KO it with your Earthquake. But yeah, congratulations to Aaron. Very well played. That last game was the heartbreaker for Conan.
Aaron Cybertron Zheng moves on to be the Portland, Oregon Regional Championship. Congratulations to Aaron Zheng.
Congratulations, man.
Well played from both players. That does it for the tournament. I wonder if we can actually get a player interview with Aaron Zheng. He's a very busy man. We understand that. But yeah, dude. Oh my gosh.
He's got a flight to catch.
Well, it's still pretty early. But, game 1, Aaron, even though that Trick Room went up, it was still close.
I mean, that turn, we can't forget that turn where he Tectonic Rages the Mimikyu and gets that Flare Blitz on Celesteela, which is a clean KO.
We're making the highlight reel for you guys right
we're
now.
making, if this were the NFL, we'd have, the big yellow circles going on.
Yeah.
And you can look at the next 2 games as a sort of conditioning because he never brought Celesteela again, even though it had the potential to really help him out. In Game 3, he had Arcanine, which was a little iffy. But
Game 2, Aaron just kind of overpredicted the Skydrop.
That was a rough turn.
Set up the Trick Room.
That was a rough turn.
That was a very rough turn because that pretty much set up.
It was kind of coin flip, but Conan played it very well. He deserved that game. Game 3 is the heartbreaker where Mimikyu just goes down to that Psychic immediately. That set the tone for the rest of the game.
And then Game 3, Conan did the exact same thing. Aaron decided to change it up.
Yeah.
Why don't we go ahead and pick his brain a little bit? Aaron, interview? We're going to go to a quick player interview. We'll stay tuned. We'll be right back.